I'm going to call the meeting to order at 10:01 a.m. So don't necessarily need to go through all of the comments for the public since we don't have anybody from the public.
No, we go into items for discussion.
Okay, so let's start with number 1, administrative code updates.
Thank you, Director KERSCHBAUM. So I have Kim Johnson here. Kim actually has been helping us a lot with the admin code. Kim is retired annuitant, helping us with the board secretary transition duties when Anthony basically left for another agency before you came on board, and we hired Jennifer. So she's been a great help. And one of the tasks that she's taken on, which is a large task, is the admin code. So she's gonna give a little brief description of what that is and kind of go over where we are so far. So Kim, take it away.
Hi, good morning. So my 2 favorite things of my job ever were records retention and admin code. I'm just kind of a freak. The district had what looked like the start of an administrative code back in 2007. We found that, but didn't find it electronically anywhere. So we scanned it in and I saved and tweaked and edited and started from there. So I had something to start with. An administrative code is the one single document that will codify all of the provisions by which the district operates. So right now, the board of directors in the past has adopted ordinances which would repeal a prior ordinance that repealed a prior ordinance that repeal, and that's exhaustive. And to have an administrative code, then we are taking the ordinances that have been governing you and putting them in articles in an administrative code. So I'm glad that Jennifer was able to send you out this volume of directories last week. And if you haven't read through them for today, it's not a challenge because today's like the introduction of the administrative code process. But if you could be reading them along the way, soon, maybe by summer, the board will have the administrative code to adopt. And right now we have covered most of the HR, safety, the administrative processes have pretty much gone to legal and back. What is still in the works are the finance area and engineering area, like land use, development, annexations, fees, all those things that are right now governed by ordinance. But a lot of them will probably be greatly revised just because of legislative items and common practices in today's world and things, and it'll be updated. And I believe those items would go through a different committee, perhaps. It may all come through P3 because it's a governing policy kind of thing. So I'm not going to try and speak out of turn on who's going to see them, but a committee will look at this prior to all of it going to the board. And I'm not sure how James has planned on this going to the board as one or maybe sections, smaller bites. But what we have for today is the general provisions is Article 1. And this will be part of where it says adoption. This code was initially adopted by resolution blank of the board of directors on blank. So when that happens, and then in the future, when separate articles require revision, they would only have to have that specific article come back to the board for adoption. And things that I'm trying to include in here are fee charts or supplements or things that could change to reference them by Exhibit A of this article. Because let's say when water rates comes, you're not going to have to re-adopt the article on water rates. You're only going to re-adopt Exhibit 1. And so that page can be interchanged in and out because revising an administrative code is not quick or easy. I mean, on the paperwork side, what you guys do is fine, but to have to re-put it back together, renumber it, add all the links. And so it's just easier to reference them by exhibit. So in general provisions, we refer to the district's mission statement, the purpose, when it was adopted, and that's kind of it, cut and dried in a nutshell. Article 2 kind of starts the meat, and Article 2 is intended to replace your existing Ordinance 221 that governs the board. I had taken a 221, plugged it into the format that you see in front of you, and then it went to legal for review. And their not concerns, but the majority of their changes were things that were governed by the government code, anything legislative, and just general business of how the board operates and the changes that it needs to adopt moving forward. Committee
Yeah.
assignments, your president, organization, all that, none of that has changed. None of that's even being proposed to have been changed. James, did you have a question?
Oh, no, I think you're gonna get to it. I was gonna say, we did go through the different memberships and everything.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
this
so I'll let
page.
you get to it. Yeah,
There was an extensive list of district memberships by which the directors could claim per diem compensation for an attendance at any of their events. But I went through and looked at director travel and requests for reimbursement and per diem over the last 7 or 8 years. And if there were organizations that never appeared on a per diem request, we omitted them from this list of district memberships.
so that being said, the list did get shorter because of that, but it was based on what we actually knew over the recent history. So I do want the committee to take a look at that. So, sorry, Kim, go ahead.
Oh, no, not worry. And if, at any time, obviously another group that is pertinent would come up, then you guys would discuss it as a board and you could add it to this list. That's, it's certainly not all inclusive if anything happens. The other thing that got expanded upon was reimbursement of expenses and how directors report, travel reimbursement, lodging reimbursement, things because they are governed by IRS travel, service rates, and the water code governs a lot of the request for reimbursement and travel. That's all in there that would be, probably helpful for you to go through. I added the, ethics training is required, sexual harassment avoidance training is also in here. Yeah, so Article 3, general manager and organization of staff. It lists the general manager is appointed by the board who serves at the pleasure of the board. He implements and carries out the policies of the board. It kind of gets into better detail. Then it has all of the department heads in here, the managers, the AGM, the district engineer, the CFO, human resources risk manager, O&M. The district org chart will be attached as an exhibit 3A. But a lot of this in these paragraphs is trying to determine the staff's responsibility of the how and the board's responsibility of the what, right? So the board's going to direct everyone what they'd like to do. The general manager is going to direct how that is done. This is all parts of emergency authority. It refers to general counsel and auditor that the board retains. They work for the board. Then we get to Article 4, which is kind of my favorite, and it's director policies. And it's pretty involved, and it sets forth the minimum ethical standards to be followed by the board. It doesn't mean you can't do more, but these are the minimum, as in the mission statement of the district, organizational values, responsibilities of public office, fair and equal treatment, Public Records Act requirements. And this is important if you're using your personal device. You might want to read through this. I'm sure you've probably been talked to by counsel already on PRAs in your personal devices. I would encourage you to not do that, but do what's best for you. Indirect interest, conflicts of interest, director relationship. It's a really good article that I clearly feel strongly about. The other one in your packet is the government claims policy, which is pretty lengthy, and it's all based on government code. The length of time the district has to accept or, reject a claim, incomplete claims, insufficient claims, and the process by which the district goes through to manage any claims against the district. The last one, let's see, no, there's Article 15, which is employment policies, which was super nice that the employee handbook was just adopted. So all we had to do was prepare a preface, and that became Article 15, employment policies. And the last one is just definitions and interpretations. These words, what are they referring to when you see them in the code? So I know that was kind of a fire hose, water reference intended. But any questions you have or any suggestions you might have on moving forward, I'm sure we would all appreciate your comments.
And just to add to that, so the expectations from staff, or the hope from staff for this committee, is to review and provide both Jennifer and I, and we'll also, get Kim involved where we need comments or questions as we go through. The intention is it's probably somewhere in the early of next fiscal year, bring us to the board. We will be bringing things back to the committee as they get adjusted, and obviously the new articles will be coming back to the committee. One of the things I do, if you want to kind of put your time into, take a look at the articles which directly involve the board organization. And I think those are, they've been modified, but they've also, went to legal, they've been adjusted. I've made comments on them already. So they're kind of at a good point now, but we definitely want committee input, whether it's a thumbs up or questions that the committee may have. Anything else, Kim, on that?
No, I think that's about it. Anything that you would have a question about, if we didn't know the answer, we'd be happy to get that back to you. And anything that you might need for clarification, or whatever you might need.
Thank you, Kim, for walking us through all of these articles.
Sure.
I really appreciate the overview. So I just had a question on the district memberships section of the board policy. So you mentioned we can always add additional memberships. The board can vote to add additional memberships. I think we also need to be cognizant of adding a whole bunch of paperwork too. So you mentioned that it's really difficult. It's like a lot of work to adjust the administrative code, but something like that would be a simple addition, right?
Yes, and you know what we might do is I may take this list out and reference it by Exhibit A or Exhibit 1 to Article 2. And then all we're going to do is adjust a piece of paper. That's going to be a supplement to the code. So thank you for asking that. And then that takes it from this back to this. So I'm going to take that out right now, and I'll just reference it as an exhibit to Article 2. Perfect,
thank you.
One, thank you. Can you sleep at night now?
Oh, this to me is like people that do needlepoint. Okay, I dig this.
I can tell, and I want to see about what your biggest dig is. Article 4.
Article 4.
Out an Article 4 or something like this?
No, so we have basically a collection of ordinances and policies that is our governing, and you could do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but it's not very clean. And as Kim mentioned, when we have a new ordinance, we have to repeal the other ordinance, which reference the previous ordinance, which reference the previous ordinance. And I think a recent example, Denise went through this. She had to figure out which ordinances with Jen and realize that we were referencing the wrong ordinances. What this admin code, when it's done, is a one-stop shop for, this is our governance, this is how we operate, these are our rules and regs. And this is also something the board's been asking for probably, well, since I've been in management, which is going on 10, 12 years here at the district, the board's been asking for this. So, and definitely we started it. It just went nowhere back in 2007. I completely forgot about that until you said that, Kim.
Yeah.
And then I know that one of the things we want to do is put an ordinance library on our website, but that became so difficult because of how convoluted the ordinances are. This will also make it more transparent, not only for board members, for any public member saying, why are you doing this? What's the rules? Here it is. So this is basically good for transparency, good for staff, and it's actually excellent for the board. This is where all our rules and regs sit in
Well,
one
that's
place.
exactly what I'm seeing. So exactly, thank you. No,
I'd probably guess 90% of agencies have an admin code.
right. So there's no new material or new directives. It's just all better organized now where we can reference it.
Organized and probably expanded upon, I would
But
think.
is there any, I mean, is there like a one or two top two things that you expanded upon that we should be aware of?
Director policies,
That's what yeah,
Yeah.
Article 4.
Article 4.
Article 4.
So is there new stuff in there? Like, I've never seen this organizational values, integrity, loyalty, respect, responsibility. We've all
Right.
talked about it, but it
It's
hasn't.
been like in the
recently.
strat plan, but now it's here. So that way then it can be referenced and it can be a standard by which now, like I know that staff has gone through like the organizational values and things. And so there's standards by which everyone is expected to behave, right? And respect. And it may have been in a prior ordinance and it may have just been very generic and maybe subjective. And this lays out more specifics with reference to different areas of director governance and director responsibility. And I think it just helps with clarity on, what is what, there's a big piece in there, not a big piece, but there's a couple of sentences that are kind of pretty telling to just everyone being on the same page, by where it's once a board decision has been made, the directors are expected to support the board decision, whether or not they supported that particular objective.
And just so you know, these things came almost completely lifted right out of our strategic plan, which was adopted.
Yeah.
by the board
So
and
that's
staff.
exactly my question. So none of this is actually new material coming from Kim's cool head.
No,
It's stuff that was out and about in space and you just.
in the
kind of
world,
put it all
yeah.
together.
yes.
Like, I like the one with the incompatible offices and things like that. That
Yeah.
was in our code somewhere, but now you.
Yeah, well, there was no code, but yes, Jim, I'm
was in
sorry,
our
President
operating
Pennick. It
procedures.
was in the world of you, just
Right.
now it's all in one spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything that was not in the world of us that is now in this spot that's new that we should be aware of?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some.
Not that I can really think of, nothing that's glaring that you guys never did this, God, no,
Okay,
I
that's
don't
what I'm
believe
putting. Is there
so.
anything glaring? And if not, okay.
Yeah, and there's still updates, but that to meet the current rules,
Right,
the
okay.
current laws, and that's about it. But
Yeah, any ledge updates,
Yeah.
would have been newer material, but certainly the intent is not new.
So
No, love it, love
if you were to look at a document library of all of our documents, you can find pieces of this everywhere.
Okay.
And then Kim just did a great job putting it all in one place. And the rest of it that's new really is the new legislation. We just updated the codes based on the current rules and regs that are out there, which we have to do anyway.
Perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, Kim.
So with the committee, just if there are any comments, questions, concerns, would you just please let the team know, send it to Jen first, copy me and Kim, in the next couple weeks. So, and then we'll continue moving forward on the other articles. Thank you, Kim.
More to come.
Have more to come. And thank you, Kim. I really appreciate your time. Kim's been leading the charge on this. She was the right person for it. And definitely, something like an admin code training, you need a champion. And we found that in Kim. So I appreciate it.
Yes, thank
You just let me do what I love.
Okay, so moving on to item 2, employee position reclassification.
Yeah, so I'll do a little preamble. I'll hand it over to me. So when we originally in the general manager's office had 2 positions that supported the board and GM's office, with Anthony leaving, and Jennifer coming on board, we're looking at two things. One that's being discussed here, and one that we're going to be discussing in the budget process. But for today's item, what we're looking at is repurposing that position to where the needs are. So every time there's a position available, a management agency looks at it and say, okay, do we need this position? Where do we have the biggest needs? And basically, at some point, we realized that we have almost no administrative help at the district here, and we have basically higher level staff doing administrative work. But not only that, with administrative help, higher level staff or staff in general isn't able to complete all the work that is in front of them. One of the bottleneck points that we've had all year long is in the human resource department, because with just Bridget, if Bridget's out, vacation, sick, anything else, there's really very little backup. And I think we've been down about 10 employees mainly due to retirements for the whole year. We keep on replacing new employees and then having another one retire. A couple leave like Anthony, but mainly retire. So with that, hopefully I didn't take all
You
your time.
did.
Oh, sorry about that. So,
Well, you'll hear it again tomorrow. So this is an informational item only because I'm actually going to present it tomorrow for action. But we did look at both of those positions in the general manager's office. We looked at the needs of HR. Like I said in a couple meetings previously, our business needs have changed. We've changed some of our processes and procedures in HR and how we work with the district. HR has a much greater role. We're much more active. We've taken on more. We've created a separation of duties with payroll. So we've taken on some items that have been in payroll. We've taken over. So our business has changed. And so with that, we would like to take the senior executive assistant and change it to a human resources assistant. This will cause a approximate $49,000 savings and benefits with salaries and benefits. James really discussed everything.
So why has your business, you said our business has changed?
Our business has changed because we've made some of our processes and procedures easier. So we've gone to electronic filing. But when I started looking at what we currently do, there was some things, for instance, payroll that HR should be doing. We did a business process analysis where we had a third party come in and look at how we are conducting business and payroll and in HR. We noticed that we need to have some separation of duties. So therefore it's putting more work onto Bridget. But I really need Bridget to be focusing on higher level things like with what James had mentioned, which was recruiting, because we've had so many recruitments happening. We also are going to be coming, I think I spoke to you yesterday, we're going to be going out into the community more. We're going to be working with public information. So we're going out for interview skills training. We're going out to job fairs. We're going to be much more active in the community this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
no, so not only that, what Denise has also done, which is great for the district, is she's streamlining the process of recruiting. We used to outsource a lot of different things. So we're paying a consultant to do stuff that could be done by somebody at an administrative level. So instead of paying consultant, I don't know how much, but a significant amount of money, this admin person would do that. So we used to pay a consultant to just do reference checks, background checks, everything else. We're bringing that in-house that we'll end up seeing, even with the cost of this position, as a position, we're seeing overall savings. But we'll see another round of savings as we rely less on consultants to do some of these more administrative work.
Like we had a budget meeting yesterday and I let Wes and James know my philosophy is I'd rather do things in-house. I'd rather train up the staff that we currently have to take over the duties that need to be done. So with that, it does, create more work on the employee. I understand that. But I think it's needed because it's going to help the employee grow, make them more well-rounded, and it's going to benefit the district because we're doing it in-house. So
what I'm hearing is we're kind of increasing a lot of things we're doing in-house,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're adding this position, but there's two administrative positions before, and now there's only one?
That is correct. So there were 2 administrative positions in the general manager's office. We did look at the senior position and analyze the needs of that position.
Okay, so you had like a senior executive assistant
Correct.
and then just another
Executive
I
assistant.
see.
Is that like Ann and Anthony?
Yes.
Correct. So we kept Ann's position and we'd like to reclass Anthony's position. In future, you will be hearing about the executive assistant position in a future meeting where we will address that, but for this particular meeting, we're just addressing the senior.
We're going to be making some adjustments to that position. Jennifer's doing a great job and she's taken on some of the roles that Anthony's been doing.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna be looking at that job classification coming back to the board.
This position also that we're gonna be hopefully getting approval for is also going to help support that executive assistant position.
Okay,
So when Jennifer needs to take a vacation or she's sick, this position will be going to board meetings and covering the general manager's office. There are a couple other departments that don't really have any administrative help that we will be lending this person to go help with administrative.
so you're
duties.
just kind of taking from the GM's office, right?
Mhm.
That person and putting them in HR.
Yes,
Okay, I see. Thank you.
and lowering the position.
Okay,
I think I like a roamer as well. I mean,
Correct, yeah.
A roaming administrative assistant.
Yeah, we have departments that have zero admin help, so you have employees doing, requisitions, requests, ordering, this position can help out with that,
Doing
help out,
PRs.
yeah, purchase requests, and also provide administrative support for those departments that have zero admin people, so.
so then how does that affect your office then? So you have less stress?
Well, we're operating great right now,
Okay.
and we definitely want to be fair to our employees, so we're taking a look at to make sure that Jennifer's being treated fairly, and we're gonna do that during the budget process.
Okay.
So you're so efficient.
Yeah.
You
I need to work with two people.
And you can't get sick and you can't go on vacation.
Right, I'm going on vacation next week.
I-
Kim will be
Kim's gonna be
coming
here.
next week.
Yeah,
Yeah, Kim will be coming next week. I will be on vacation next week, but yeah.
so this is going to the board tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
but we wanted to make sure that the committee had information and see if the committee had any other questions, and it's just an information.
I think it seems like a great idea and it really saves the district money overall, so I'm supportive of it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're so efficient.
All right, well, this one's gonna save money, but the next one.
Oh, you teed it up perfectly. Okay, so yeah, moving on to employee certification incentive program.
Yeah, so this one has been talked about. I think I've probably had conversations with almost every board member about this over the last year. And this is something that we have a pretty good culture of employees getting education, certifications above and beyond their job requirement. And we've never rewarded it. And now with a lot of the people retiring, those people who are retiring kind of have that culture. A lot of our new employees, it's more hit and miss. A lot of the new employees still have that value and that culture. Some of them don't, but for the ones that do, and looking at how we need to grow future leadership here, I always keep that in mind, and also show appreciation for employees that go above and beyond. We want to come up with a reason or basically a program that shows that. So Denise has actually done a great job drafting this. And I think we have a copy of it here. Yeah, you have a
Yep,
copy
you
of it.
should have a copy, so it is in draft form. It has gone through many views, many eyes have been on this. The last set of eyes I have to take it to is the association leadership before I bring it to board. So I still need to take it there, but it's for you today to take a look at it. Some of the guidelines and parameters around it, again, we want to acknowledge and appreciate those employees that go above and beyond when it comes to their profession, their career, not just their job. And we've been very purposeful when we chose for every area within the district a way for someone to get this incentive. Part of the requirements to get the incentive is the the certification has to have some rules around it. So it has to have continuing education units in order to qualify. So for instance, the distribution certifications, depending on what grade they are, they could have 12 units, 32 units, 18 units in order to renew their certification. So what we're looking at is those certifications that you have to do something to obtain it. And you have a renewal period. Most of these are 2-3 years for renewal. This program would be giving an incentive of what did we say, $125 upon renewal for certifications on this list that require continuing education units
Upon renewal.
upon renewal.
So, really quick, what if they get something already, we have a different
We have a
program
different
that
program.
rewards them for the initial, so if somebody gets a degree, somebody passes a PE, and, you know, there's a instant renewal, a gratitude, a thank you, and which has some financial incentives. So that's been in place already, so we're not changing that, this does not take the place of that, this is if you continue to keep on working on your crafts and continue to get the renewal, because it takes work, it's just not paying a fee, you actually have to take classes to get the renewal. And this is above and beyond your job description. You don't have to do this to keep your job. It's not a requirement. So you're doing it because you want to do it as an employee.
And for some of those certifications, it's not for what you are required to have for your job. It's the requirements that are above. So for instance, if you're working in construction and you're required to have your D2, we're looking, you're required to have your D2, that's what gets you your position. But if you go and you get your grade 3 or your grade 4, we would pay you upon renewal for however many steps you're above what is required for the position. So meaning if you have a D2, your position requires a D2, but you have a D4, we're gonna pay you 125 for your 3, 125 for your 4. So you'll get 250 upon renewal.
It maxes out at 500 per the policy, so you could have up to 4 different certs. And it doesn't have to be a higher cert, it could be a cert with different, I mean, a good example we use, you have somebody in customer service, they don't require any certifications, but they go out and get a D, which is water distribution 2, and they get a collections 2. Now, they're actually incentivized to go get it, we'll reimburse them for the time in the initial, not time, but expense on the initial. And they get the initial reward for doing that. When they renew it, which means they continue to get educated, and then, 3 years later, they renew it, they would get 125 for each. And for the district, this is a win-win, because now you have a higher level employee, you have a customer service person that understands water distribution and collections.
They're gonna be answering those questions much more clear, much more efficient. They're wonderful.
And for operations staff, which just a lot of the benefits for operations staff, they're probably the majority. Now you have people who have a higher level of understanding of the craft, which, is statistically shown means less mistakes and more efficient. So at the end of the day, the investment that we make in our employees, it'll be hard to quantify, it'll be subjective, but we're gonna get that back probably 2-3 times in, more efficient work, less mistakes, so on and so forth. And that's the idea.
So, question, so the district though is, we're paying them to go and get the training, or is it something they have to do on their own
They
time?
do it on their own time, but
Oh,
we'll
okay.
reimburse them if they pass for the class and the certificate, because it costs money.
Okay,
So
But we wanna make sure they're passing and
Now-
they're doing it.
Now, to be clear, the district does have memberships in programs that is free to the employee. It's still their own time. They could get their education credits, American Water College.
Yes, Ed has the signed up in
Yep.
there.
So basically, the employee doesn't have to travel or have a great expense to do this. They can literally go home, log on, there's a district login that they have, take the credits that they need, the education.
And we also have Vector Solutions, which we can assign classes to the staff for their certs also. So a lot of the guys, we will assign them for technical and safety classes.
Mhm.
They can do from their computer, and it's free because we already have the software.
So it's set up for any employee who wants to take advantage of it. For them, it's still time, but for them to put in the time, there's almost no expense. And then they can continue getting it. And a lot of our employees already take advantage of, there's no program to take advantage of the education programs to get higher level certs. That's currently happening now. But a lot of those employees are also currently retired. So.
I mean, I think it's a really great idea, especially since, the employees have to, take the initiative and do this on their own time, to have some type of incentive. I'm really big on mission statements, you'll learn that about me, so our mission statement is to be wastewater and water specialists. And I think that the program is really contributing to our overall mission, it's making all the employees, better, more of a specialist in their field, and so I'm supportive of the ESOP program.
So why would somebody not do that? I mean, that's what I was concerned about. Most of them, they don't have to put out an initial investment. Most of them are free, you're saying?
Yeah.
To take the classes.
To take the classes.
Well,
Because even though they're reimbursable, I'm just thinking if I'm an employee, I'm not gonna pay $100 to get $100 back later. But now this incentive program will incentivize me to do so.
Yep.
But why are employees not doing this? Has there been input from the employees?
Well, actually, I mean, our employees do have higher certifications already. Most of them do take the initiative.
Okay.
We've just never. Well, and those,
Incentivized.
we've expanded it. So this will also go for accounting, for our engineers,
For IT.
IT. This gives them, to go and get all their IT stuff, and we need all that specialtiness.
And
Above and
management
beyond
could,
what's required.
Yes,
and management could revisit this list
and change
and
it.
change it based on, hey, we need more people with this expertise, or we need more people, so we can look at these lists and change it over time, to kind of incentivize people to get certifications areas that we may be lacking.
And we talked to the management team when we were looking at this list, and we specifically told them of the certifications that will add value to our district, and that had contact hours. So we gave them a very specific road to go down when they were looking at what programs or what certifications to pick.
That's great. What percent of our employees are already doing this?
I'll have that ready for you at the board meeting.
Just wondering. That seems like something many are already doing.
They are, but a lot of them are retiring,
Yeah.
and then it's probably, this is just a feel, I don't actually know the number, but it's for newer employees, it's about 50-50, roughly. There are always gonna be employees that don't wanna do it unless they get paid to do it, but those are employees that aren't really looking to better themselves for the right reason. What we're looking for is to cultivate career-minded, career-focused individuals. So if somebody's looking at this as their career, they want to do the best, they want to learn more, they want to grow, regardless of pay. But now I want to say, you know what, there's a benefit for the district for that, so here's incentives. And the incentive could be up to $500 a year.
Right.
So
So most of these are, I mean, what's the time investment to get one? Is it a 2-hour online class? Is it a 5-week?
No, so for the field guys, for their distribution through the State Water Resources Board, it's for every 50 minutes, it's 1 contact hour. So for a D1 or a D2, they have to have 12 contact hours, and it has to be 75% technical, 25% safety. For the classes that they take that they're eligible to then get renewal for their renewal.
So roughly it's a little less than 12 hours.
But then that's the very lowest, that's grade 1 or grade 2, it goes up to grade 5, 4, 5. And so as it goes up, the contact hours go up. So I think it goes up to like 36 hours.
And for like this certified payroll certification?
Yep.
Is that like a 3-4 hour, or is that also like a 12?
I have to go look, I'm
I'm
not
just trying to
as,
see the range of what a commitment. the employee has
yeah,
to
they're all gonna be different.
Most of them you have to pass a test.
Yeah,
to get initially.
to get it initially.
And then, so you pass the test initially, and then the contact hours are what allows you to keep your cert.
Yes. And they're all different. So we have a gigantic spreadsheet because I needed to know. Yeah, we have a gigantic spreadsheet that tells me everybody in the district what they have. It tells me what their position requires. It tells me what, because we need to create a budget since this is new. So I'm working with Mike to help me create a budget for this. So we need to know all of those parameters so we know what kind of money we're talking.
So if they all do it, all of a sudden, but now.
I don't think, I mean, it would be great if everybody did it because we would be highly, highly skilled. That's what our goal is, but people in general probably won't.
Yeah, the people who aren't doing it now are probably won't do it even with the incentive. I mean, maybe we'll get a couple people that are on the fence.
Yeah.
But normally, you're not gonna change somebody's mode of operation just yet. Yeah. That's all you're doing.
Well, I think it's important too that you're recognizing those, I mean, those people that are gonna get the incentives, like you said, are probably already doing it. But just the fact that, and the amount of money isn't really as important as, you know, we as a district, we value you.
Yeah.
And here, you know, here's something that we can afford to give you, but I think that goes a long way in creating a culture that, you know, people want to be at. And I mean, we have culture here that employees want to stay for a long time, obviously, because most of the employees that we have lost have just retired. So I think that just contributes to that overall culture of we value as employees. So
Yeah. Number one question when we talked about these with the association employees on this draft, you know, needs board approval program is it retroactive?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
sorry, can't be retroactive.
that'd be kind of a
Yeah.
large expense.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for even like. showing that.
Yeah. Well, I did a cost savings and then a spending.
Alright.
Yeah, sure.
Right, moving right along to item 4, Public Information Conservation Department.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna hand this over to Chris. Chris's group does excellent work and actually wears many hats. And I cannot thank Chris and his team enough between the videos and the public social media outreach and everything else that they do. I am gonna apologize, but I have a NAM meeting at Encina, so I'm gonna be taking off around 10:50. But I'm gonna leave Jason to finish up the meeting and Chris's items to bring us home. So with that, Chris, take it away.
Thanks so much. So I was working with the general manager to come up with some topics for P3 and I realized, oh, it's been a while since President Pennock's been on this committee. Is it a year? Is it 2 years? Yeah. And then Vice President KERSCHBAUM is new to the whole thing. So may as well just kind of lay out all the activities and the functions that we do. So the Public Information Conservation Department has 2.75 people. So Lisa Yarabe is a 3/4 time employee. So Lisa is our master gardener. She is our website master, our webmaster. I can do it in a pinch, but yeah, she's just way better than I am at it. She's also our social media person, and that includes Facebook, but also LinkedIn, and X or Twitter or whatever we want to call it. And then Alicia is our videographer, and she also is kind of our graphic artist. And we can all do other things like, you know, write articles and, you know, attend community events and things like that. I just wanted to give you of who the actual staff. Can I remove that thing or can I not?
What?
Just the thing in the upper corner that's kind of squishing it. Oh, yeah, maybe that's better. It'll be down the bottom corner. Okay, so just wanted to talk about water conservation first. So one of the big items with just the water conservation aspect is you kind of have 2 state entities that are overlooking you, State Water Resources Control Board and the Department of Water Resources. State Water Resources Control Board is more about the actual water quality and making sure what we deliver to customers is safe. They have a lot of other activities as well, but I would call that kind of the primary mission. Where Department of Water Resources really wants is moving the infrastructure and doing the measurements on, how much water did we get from the snowpack and so forth. Both of them always want information from you, from your agency, from Vallecitos. And kind of at certain points, you'd start to realize, well, didn't they just ask for this? And so the two have started to finally kind of work together a little bit. They were a little bit siloed, and you'd have one of them ask you for the info in 1 month, and then 3 months later, the other department would ask you for the info. They're getting better at that. But they're also starting to ask for more and more information than they used to kind of back in the day. And they've kind of cleaned up their system. I think, they all want this data. They all want to know what's going on in the entire system in California. But, it's like drinking the ocean. There's so much data. How can you drill down? So they've made some improvements to be able to analyze their data and do a better job with it. So some of the things that are really driving us is those Senate bills and Assembly bills, basically, and they've translated that into making water conservation a California way of life. That's a nice 61-page document that defines, how we're going to move forward into the future in California. So this is one of the big items in water use efficiency and water conservation.
So quick question on the State Water Board. Are they the ones actually initiating the new regulations, or are they just a vehicle to disseminate regulations?
They're the entity that disseminates it. So they take the legislation that the legislators produce and then codify it into parameters.
So regulations are coming from above.
Yeah. What did I do wrong?
Yeah, I think you
So
just click on the
they
screen.
don't
Oh.
actually legislate. They don't actually provide new regulations.
No, they just kind of codify what the legislative body introduces, and then it's got to go through their it's like a legal process review and so forth that it has to go through. So a lot of these things take a lot of time,
Yeah,
just because of their own processes.
it's interesting because we can read legislation and interpret it, and then the water board has a different interpretation, and then there's usually a public, a comment period. This is how we're going to enforce or roll out new legislation. And a lot of times the water agencies do Aqua, there's a action form with Aqua that says, that's not what the legislation says. You're overreaching. And so so that happens all the time.
Yeah, a little give and take.
Yeah.
So this is a really good slide. This is what is called our urban water use objective. And it's a kind of a fancy math problem. Let's start on the left with variances. When I was first looking at this, I was really thinking, there would be some variances that we can get. We have a lot of horses in our service area. And this graphic is from the state. So they've realized that, oh yeah, that's a thing. People are concerned about that. How much water, and the state likes to say, well, this is how much water a person needs. That's how much water that person needs. We all get this amount per day, and here's the amount of grass. And we want to have an equation. How much water does a horse need? Does anybody really know? I don't think they've defined that. And there's a certain amount, obviously, to leave for drinking, but when they get lathered up, they got to get washed off, all that kind of fun stuff. Variances was kind of a big deal in this urban water use objective math problem. Turns out we don't have enough horses to make it a problem. You need a huger percentage of your water use to be horses to even ask for the variance. But there was a point in time where I was trying to outreach to the equestrian community and say, hey, I need to know how many you got, because this thing is coming our way. Like in 2017 and 2018, I was working really hard to try and get in touch with the equestrian community, and then as they invoke the legislation, the way the math problem works, it's not even worth our district worrying about. There's kind of the standard-based budgets for efficient water use. So they're saying residential indoor use, you have this many people in your service area. Here's how much each individual person gets. There's real water loss, which is just water that runs out of the system itself, main breaks, and just leaks that a water system may have. Residential outdoor use, try and do a graphic information systems, look at your service area, have planes that flew over, take images of it, and then turn that into an equation. Here's how much water you need based on the solar radiation that you get in your specific service area. And then also the CII. CII is the term we say for commercial, industrial, institutional, and how much are their landscapes.
That's city fire area.
Absolutely, yeah. But also commercial properties like, there's parks, but there's also, I think there's a place down the street, Green Gables or something like that, that has a bunch of grass to go out there and have a wedding and things like that.
Hospitals, universities.
Yes,
all under the CII.
all that. So, and they want us to come up with this water use objective, which is basically a district's water budget. How much do we get? How much can we use that the state says, yes, that's reasonable, you're doing good enough work? So the very first time I had to
What's the bonus incentive?
that's if you have some sort of incentive for like recycled water or something like that. So, and I don't think we get it because the recycled water isn't used in our service area. It goes outside our service area, so we don't specifically get that one. So we had to submit our first urban water use objective before January 1st of 2025. I had Hope Consulting under agreement to help me out with it. There was a point in time where both Alicia and Lisa were out. Lisa was out with thumb surgery, and Alicia was out with digestive issues, and so I was kind of a lone ranger. So I asked engineering, hey, can you give me a consultant to help me out with this? So Hope Consulting has been helping me out with getting set up to provide that water use objective. So another thing the state wants you to do is an annual water supply and demand assessment. They basically want to make sure that you're not going to run out of water, that your agency has supplies in place so that the state at the last minute won't learn, you don't have any water, what are you doing? And the state really likes to look over your shoulder and make sure you are planning appropriately and doing things appropriately. So kind of a circle up there. Water shortage contingency plan as part of an urban water management plan. There's that supply and demand assessment. What are your water shortage responses? Like, what are you going to do if you're not having enough water? What are you going to do? What are you going to invoke? So that's what that function is. I've been doing that the last several years. It is for us, it hasn't been too bad because we just sort of buy it from the water authority, and they have plenty of supplies to give us. But you can imagine this would be something for an entity that's just has one reservoir and they're just hoping for rain. That it's a little spookier. So the good news is that the water authority's planned, and we're all going to complain about their rate increases, but at the same time we do have adequate supplies here. So this has not been particularly scary for me to produce.
We've done a good job of diversifying our water portfolio with contracts with Liebenheim, DSAL, so.
That's what I was gonna ask, kind of beside the play with this.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
All part of our life.
Yeah. It's all part of it. We need to have a drought response plan. We have a specific ordinance that defines our drought response plan. What would we specifically do if we needed 10% or 20% or 30% or 40% or like 50% reductions? What will we specifically invoke in those situations? And we were previously in a drought level 2 at one point, and we reduced to drought level 1 and then dropped back out. But drought is one of those things. It'll come back. It'll be back. It may be back now. It's kind of hard to grasp. But making sure that we have a drought response plan that meets the state's requirements is specifically important. It used to be we could have 4 levels of drought, and then they wanted 6, and so just having to update our ordinance to meet those requirements.
I don't know
If I can jump in real quick, that'll be an article in the admin code.
I was just gonna ask that. Thank you,
yeah.
Pam.
I'm all,
You said it's important.
Yeah, all those levers are in place.
yeah, it'll be in the
So
admin code and it'll be
all those
quite
levers.
specific.
Yeah, I didn't get to that, but I was thinking that in my head when she was giving her presentation, like, oh yeah, we have to update the drought ordinance, we just put that in and we don't have to change everything. So that's really helpful. The other part about this type of activity is just water waste. And my staff and I respond to water waste complaints. We have a specific email address that people could send their water waste complaints to. They can be anonymous. I've checked with the attorneys, and the attorneys say we don't have to divulge who made the complaint, so that when I talk to somebody, I don't have to say, well, it was your neighbor next door that's spying on you. Water waste complaints are interesting as long as we're here and we're talking about them. Sometimes that sort of thing does happen where neighbors have little disputes, and so they try and drag us into their dispute by complaining over things. It's interesting. I just try to call customers and say, hey, I got a water waste complaint that you had water running off. Can you check into that? Can you ask you have a landscaper? Can you have them dial back the irrigation system? We have the ability to issue notices of violation. I put it in my outreach updates that I send to you, and typically it says none. And I think I've given 3, and I've been here 10 years. Notices of violation.
So it's very.
Yeah, so it doesn't happen very often. I think we find 2 in the amount of time that I've been here over 10 years. So it doesn't happen, but nobody's really happy to get a notice of violation. And that's typically when they just fail to respond.
But
We've reached
Chris,
out to them.
Chris, you really try to educate before we go to any sort of
Oh, yeah.
violation. and
Yeah,
fines. That's really an opportunity.
It's basically, I used to work in soccer, and one of the guys I worked with was like, that guy's either dumb or defiant, and it's sort of like that. Like, you're getting a notification because you're either not paying attention or you're just being defiant. You just don't want to comply. So, we actually don't issue too many of those, but we do go out and we do try and resolve those, and different methods to do this type of work. And sometimes the address we get is there's no property there, so it's the city along with kind of their frontage or whatever. They just say it's the 2200 block, El Norte Street or whatever. You realize, oh, there's no house, there's no person for me to call. Got to go into the GIS system and look for meters, like where's the closest meter to this? Where's an irrigation meter? Oh, that's it. And then look at the account number and follow. So it's it's a thing. But also, if you see a water waste, you can send it to me. I will respond to it. So just want to make sure that that's on your radar screen.
We get some pretty interesting ones, don't we?
The interesting ones are kind of the customer complaints on each other. They'll send you a photo and you can tell they're like looking through their screen, of their window to, take a picture of their neighbor out there closing the driveway off. That type of thing does happen. Non-functional turf. So this is Assembly Bill 1572. They're kind of defining non-functional turf as any type of grass that's really not serving a purpose for use. Like a city park, people run around on it, people have picnics on it, things like that. That's functional turf. But when you leave today and you drive out our gate, look right across the street, there's this kind of swale of grass over there that one of the industrial entities, that's about as non-functional as you can get. And I sort of like it in the fact that whenever we have customers here and we're doing a tour and we're talking about our garden and how it's efficient. And then I'm like, and there's a good example right there of non-functional turf. It's this curved slope. It's really hard to mow. Nobody sits on it. Nobody eats a picnic on it. Nobody plays on it. It's really, really, really bad. And so state governments are going to have to get rid of those by 2027. Commercial industrial properties like the people across the street in January of 2028. And then HOA common areas in 2029. So
What is the directive on that? Get rid of it, so we're just gonna bunch of dirt or replace it with?
No, and You're making me feel bad. I'm really trying not to put dirt in. We don't want to just put in rocks and dirt. We
Yeah.
want people to put in low water use plants and mulch. You know, we don't want to turn
Lava
the whole
rocks.
environment into this big heat sink.
That's exactly
We
what
want people to put in low water use.
so when they say there's a direct by 2027, you have to get rid of this what'd you call it,
Non-functional turf.
non-functional turf.
Yeah.
Get rid of it or you need to replace it.
Yes,
What's
and
the
that's what we want them to do is replace it. And
Oh,
so, one of the things we've been working on, and it's in our tactical plan, is really trying to get the HOAs to replace out their non-functional turf. And we've had really good success with Lake San Marcos because there are quite a few HOAs over there. They have quite a bit of non-functional turf. We were able to partner up with the Water Authority, ourselves, the HOA, and then the County of San Diego, because that's an unincorporated area over there. Lake San Marcos has really bad water quality because of runoff going into it, and changing these things out and putting in swales to help catch any rain runoff. You know, we've done about 8 of them over in Lake San Marcos. So that's the kind of effort, and you know, we're super happy to be kind of ahead of the curve on that one. But it also makes it easier for us to meet those objectives that I was talking about at the beginning, where we have an urban water use objective because we've removed the high thirsty turf from these properties. So that's just one of our big things is.
So question about this, so it's AB 1572, right?
Yeah.
So is the legislation such that districts have the responsibility or like local agencies have the responsibility of enforcing this? So this by the industrial has to be replaced or removed by 2028, right?
Right.
So are we as a district responsible for enforcing this?
Yeah, we'll probably get stuck enforcing it. The state is too remote to actually drill down and get into that.
What about the city of San Marcos?
So, and it'll be the same thing for the city, where they will have to comply with this ordinance, but I don't think they're gonna have.
I think she's asking for enforcement.
Yeah, but no, they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do it.
So it's gonna be us.
It'll be our burden, and how that gets defined will probably be spelled out in future activities of the legislation, where the State Water Resources Control Board or DWR are gonna say, and here's how you're going to do this.
As the water provider,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
that's
you
the
know,
next.
they've got their 2 years to tell us,
How
what are
to
you gonna
it.
do? How are you gonna do that? So they don't always give you the why right at the beginning. In fact, a lot of it's kind of behind because of COVID. The implementation dates kept getting pushed and so forth. So, you know,
And as Chris tells you this, remember what he said at the beginning with his 2.75 employees.
yeah.
I know, that's what I was just thinking. This sounds like a very expensive endeavor to be enforcing this all over
Yeah,
the
this is.
service area.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, well, how's the state gonna bust me for that? You know, they have, you know.
He's a water
When I was at
company.
City of San Diego, I
He's a
had
water
one. I did, yeah, I had a code compliance thing we could go do, but I don't wanna go there, you know. And it's much easier to just try and get people to be able to change, but, you know, it was in the latest newsletter. I wanted to put it out, like, this thing is coming, you know, here's a nice Hawaiian punch, you know, you're not gonna be happy with this, but I don't want it to be implied that we didn't mention it, we didn't publish it, we didn't say anything about it. Yeah, and we're gonna have to keep hammering home that message again and again and again and again. But again, like, where exactly is non-functional turf? It's in the eye of the beholder, you know, who says, well, that's non-functional. You know, if you stick a picnic table on it, it just got functional. They also provide leniency for trees that are on the property. You know, the state doesn't want the trees to die because the trees all help us out. They cool us and they take a CO2 out of the atmosphere, put O2 back into it. So I'm not fretting it, but you know, the state hasn't really spelled out exactly how it's gonna happen. So your question is very valid, but I don't
More to
have an
come.
answer. Yeah. You know what? Stay tuned to this channel, right? Just residential assistance. There's Alicia right there out with a homeowner in Lake San Marcos, you know, helping them out with their property and so forth. So we can go out and help customers. If you get a call from a customer, hey, I'm using all this water, I don't know why. Can you help me somehow? Send them my way. We will respond. All three of us are capable of going out and doing a residential survey at a homeowner's house, trying to track down what their water usage or waste may be. And we also have Metropolitan provides this service in-house. And they're way better at it than we are because they do it every day versus, you know, I've done one over the past, 3 years or so. Lisa, I'll typically send because she's a master gardener and better than me, but she's been out and helped people out and resolve problems for them. So just be aware that this is something that we do, that we will help customers if they're having, issues with water consumption at their house.
So what do you mean Metropolitan? They have the same?
Yeah, so Metropolitan has contracted staff that'll go out and do what's called a residential survey. Well, they'll check their water pressure, look at their meter, turn all the water off the house, see if the meter's moving or not. Go out and run their irrigation system, and there's a
So
whole.
if somebody calls us, can we call them, Metropolitan? So we don't have to do it in-house?
Yeah, and that's typically what I try and do.
So you.
That's what I talk to
you send it
customer
back to
service.
Metropolitan. Okay.
I typically talk to customer service, and customer service is well aware that Metropolitan does this, so they will have it and they'll set them up to go out. But what I'm saying is if either of you need somebody to go there today,
Gotcha.
we can go to you.
But usually you're just the liaison.
Yeah. But you got something that's bad,
Immediate.
yeah, we'll run right out there. I'll get out in the 195 and run over there and have a look.
And we respond to a lot of calls from customers, water leaks, some meter guys would go out, or our construction guys would go out, if it's something, you know what I mean? So other departments will respond to those.
Truly,
types of things.
Truly.
As opposed to maybe a water conservation issue.
Yeah, and sometimes it is exactly that. It's like their meter box is flooding, one of the meters will typically handle that. So there's different things. Okay, so shifting over to public information. So we have our website, and again, Lisa's kind of the master of the website and manages it, and I'm super proud of it. I really love it because I worked at a city, and it's been 10 years, but still
left a
seems
mark.
like it was just
Left a mark?
just you couldn't get anything changed on it, you know what I mean? You couldn't get updates to it quickly. And we can just make updates as we go. There's a lot of drill down, if you start opening up those tabs, there's just drill down to get you to almost anything you need. So I think it's a really fabulous website. I remember when I first was researching this because I was going to get the job. Wow, look at this website. And then I thought all the staff in the pictures were models. I was like, oh, look at all these models. No, there's staff that worked here. I was like, wow, okay.
This is all done in-house.
Yeah. So there's behind them is what's the name of our vendor? I'm gonna have to think about it for a minute because I don't talk to them very much. But there's a vendor that actually supports it, and there's a certain amount of IT engaged with the website, but the actual product and the information on it is pretty much
The content.
the content of it is ours. The functionality of it is the vendors, but
Yeah, Director Kirschbaum, you at the engineering and equipment committee, you got to see us drill down on the capital side and
Right.
show all the project information, which is really unique, having worked for other agencies. So when we talk about transparency and the award certification that we recently got, a lot of that has to do with what Chris is talking about in this website. just
Right,
How
I
much
mean,
information is there.
Just
and
for the
available
capital
the public.
improvement projects, you are updating that like quarterly.
Quarterly, yeah.
Which is huge. I mean, a lot of times on an agency website, you'll go and maybe they might have capital improvement projects on there, probably not, but if they do, it'll be like, outdated by 10 years or something like that.
right.
And
Well,
if you see anything outdated, let us know. I just about 2 weeks ago found an outdated page on the development side, and I was like, hey,
get rid of this.
get rid of it. And,
Right.
and to Chris's point, we get that done
Yeah, we
right
just
away.
get rid of it.
Yeah,
And there can be, like, a lot of the things on the website is kind of drill down. You're here, and then you can go here. And from there, you can go here. From there, you can go here. Every once in a while, there's this piece of information just kind of sitting out there on an island that's not really linked to anything. It's like it's an orphan. It's something that doesn't exist anymore.
Well, that's
But
why
you
have
can
your
Google
search
it.
bar, yeah.
Yeah, you can
So-
Google it and it'll take you right there, and you know, it may be some old info. And so we work hard to prevent that, but it can happen. Again, I can make edits.
and Chris, I'll say, I know board members in the past have asked about traffic to the site and you know, how many times people clicking on particular stuff. And I want to say, my memory is there's very little traffic to the site.
That's true, and if I were to tell the
Just the
truth,
reality of
which
it.
I'm gonna tell you, I think staff use the website
Yes.
more than the general public does, because sometimes we need information
I believe
and
that
we
information.
go to the
Yeah,
website.
our
to get it.
standard drawings are there, all our district design standards.
Yeah.
We have a really good document library, so a lot of that is on there, which is great for transparency, and it's a great resource for our staff.
And we also will typically have a banner header, like if we have a main break or something like that, and we still put that up. So I think it's a terrific website. I hope you do too.
Is there, do we monitor how many clicks or how many people look at that?
You know what? We typically will provide you with more information on social media, because that's a bigger value, but I could if you want.
No, I just didn't know if we were.
Yeah. And when we did the redesign, you know, there were certain hot spots that the redesign entity was able to point out. You should put this one on the front because this is where people are going anyway. So, you know, let's do that. But
Right.
your average homeowner isn't like, well, what am I doing today?
That's what I'm
I'm gonna go
wondering
to Vallecitos website.
How we utilize
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
especially the pay online feature. I don't know. Do we know, most people are on auto pay, I'm guessing, but
There's quite a few, you know, there's certain people like to still get a paper bill in the mail. And there's a portion that's just gonna be that way. You know, there's online pay and auto pay and so forth, but
I'm always amazed at how many people still.
I was like, they still come to the
counter
front.
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
there's a guy walking in with an
I mean,
envelope.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's every 15 minutes or 30, but there's
Yeah.
always.
there's always people paying the bill.
But we're not monitoring how many people are clicking on it.
Yeah, but I mean, I could do that.
We
if
can
you-
pull it. I mean, IT can pull that information. We've done it in the past. It's always been surprisingly low.
Yeah.
Like Chris says, it's
Yeah.
usually staff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on to social media. So again, this is Lisa's kind of baby, mostly Facebook, but also X and also LinkedIn. And, you know, a couple things with social media, trying not to drive people bananas. Because you don't like to send them 2 things in a day, because they're like, what? You know, they get annoyed with that. So trying to just have, you know, 1 item per day. Trying to have content that's interesting and that they'll continue to follow and not go, well, you know, that's enough of that stuff and quit following us. So trying to build followers. And I think the world of social media has changed, but I remember, you know, I have to give Lisa her evaluation every year, and I'm like, she does a good job with social media content, but she also doesn't screw up big time. I don't know if you remember, but there was times when, you know, you would have these kind of horrific kind of failures on social media, on Facebook, that businesses would do kind of back in the day, kind of catastrophic things where it's like, who the heck did that and approved that? And it was sort of the, you know, well, we just hired an intern to do it. And, you know, there wasn't any, you know, thought process into, you know, what are the consequences of putting this type of information up on your social media page. So yeah, we always are looking at that we want it to be good and interesting, but we also don't want it to be catastrophically bad.
Yeah, it's a balance between how much information and what is that content.
Yes, yeah. Do we want to talk about that specific thing?
Some things you don't want to publicize, right?
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
there's no value, or
Yeah.
it can go against you, like Chris said.
Yeah.
So you have to be thoughtful about what you're posting.
Yeah, and then there can be, cybersecurity things, and, we have cybersecurity here, but we don't want to taunt anybody.
Well, that's kind of my question. Why are we trying to create a following? What are we trying to accomplish?
I think it's goals of the district, right? Conservation, things that are going at the state level, conservation is a good message to get people to follow and say, oh yeah, I want to do that.
Truly, but also information, main break information, that's one of the things that we put up on there on social media when there's a main break. Hey, here's what it is. And there is people that follow us and are looking for us for information regarding traffic and things like that. But also just kind of the information pieces like, non-functional turf. We create a lot of video content. I'll get to that slide in a little bit, but the video content, a really good way to display it is on social media rather than just posting it to YouTube and hoping somebody goes and looks at it. The board, when I first came on, was really, really big about trying to get our customers to know who we were, that there's schools of thought to be, hey, let's be beneath the radar and not have anybody even know who we are. And then there's, no, we want people to know that we provide this service. And, the other day I was sitting there and my phone chimes and it's Tess from the city of San Diego or city of San Marcos. And she's like, are you posting about the main break? And I'm like, criminy. So, I'm texting, because Ed has left now. And so I'm texting Eric and I'm texting construction.
Kevin.
And I'm like,
what's
hey,
going
we
on?
got a main break? Where is it? I didn't hear anything. And, wait a couple minutes. Eric, I don't know, let me look, where is it at? I'm like, Tess, where is it at? Oh, it's over on Mulberry. Oh, okay. So text back, oh, that's VID's break. And then so I tell Tess, yeah, that's not ours. That's VID. And she goes, who's their social media person? I'm like, they don't have one. They don't do that. And she's like, what? Because everybody's going to be agitated and they want to be able to, put information
Because
out.
that agency wants to fly below the radar.
Yeah, so they, they fly below
Different
the radar.
strategies.
Different strategy, but they had a little thing on their webpage, like if you went to their webpage, but yeah, they had no, they don't even do any social media, so.
I want to say the board in the past really wanted us to be more posting more information, and they were a little bit more trying to get out there, like you said, so the customers knew who we were.
Yeah.
I know probably the general manager talked to you about this. You're trying to get more of that message of we're part of the community, we're your neighbors too. So that's a message that can get out there through the social media.
True.
How we want to do that though has to be thoughtful.
Well, I think Lisa's doing a really good job as far as walking that line. Obviously I follow Vallecitos Water District. I'm very interested in the post. I don't know if everybody else, I share the general public sentiment, but I feel like it's a really, really good mix of like sharing information, getting the public information, and then also there's a few, little fun highlights on maybe like our native seed garden. There's those types of things. Like you're saying, we do really cool things as a district, and so it's a way to share that with the public. But I think you and Lisa are doing a really great job, so I appreciate it.
I appreciate it a lot, and I'll let her know that. I'll make her feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep rolling. Okay, so between the pipes, that's our newsletter, typically 4 pages. James asked me this year to only mail 1 hard copy rather than 3 hard copies. The postage and the printing is pretty expensive.
What do you mean there's 3, like every 3 months or something? Or?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We typically produced, in the past, we would produce 4.
Okay, so you've one every 3 months?
Yes,
Send out, I see.
but the summer one was always just the water quality report that Sean's shop works with me to produce.
Mhm.
So Sean typically comes up with the data that goes in the
Consumer confidence
in the
report. is that-
consumer confidence report or
Okay.
water,
Just
water
required.
quality report. And we used to mail that thing out and, nobody would even look at it. So
Right.
that one we would do as an electronic one. We print enough copies so that if somebody wants one, we have to send them one and we need a hard copy to do that. So we get those. But this latest one, we just published electronically. We did not print them. We will print again for fall to announce Water Academy, which I will talk about in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But, that one, we're trying to drive attendance to Water Academy. So we do want to send that one out and make sure people get a hard copy in their hands. But, we are saving some money by not spending the money in printing and postage.
Well, and that's another reason I think social media is so important, because if we're doing less of the mailings, I mean, there's a lot of information that goes out in the between the pipes, and I mean, I'm old school. I like getting these in the mail. Maybe you can print one out for me, because I just no, serious. I want to have one.
I realized I need to get like 50 of them just to have that we can take to a community event.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
we can
So
just have hard copies of. So I asked Alicia, hey, let's make sure we get.
And the winter
50.
edition had some really good articles. I think.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
fact, right there
I
is
feel like
the.
I got. I
Yes,
don't
it was
think
very
I got an
interesting.
email. I mean, as a customer with the
So
newsletter.
possibly not, because it was on social media only. It's on our website, but I don't think we did a push on this.
Can we email all of our customers this?
We can do a push notification. Yeah, we can totally do that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a lot of information. I want people to have access to it.
Yeah. And there's those dates and deadlines, January 1, I don't know if you can see that, but
Yeah.
2027, 2028, 2029, it's coming. So trying to get the information out that.
It's so hard to get information to people nowadays. 10, 15 years ago, everybody read their emails, right? And that's how we would all communicate with each other, is email. And then everybody started texting.
Yeah,
So now people don't really email as much anymore.
truly.
And then if you're not texting, a lot of people are getting information from social media. So
Right.
it's like, as an agency, you just have to figure out how to reach, your customers.
Right.
And maybe an email, they're not getting it, but I just feel like it's not very expensive to email. We're talking about, Director Bennett, we're talking about these newsletters. We're not sending out hard copies anymore to our customers between the pipes. So, and I don't remember seeing it, so it's on our website, and it's also on social media, but what I was advocating for is, let's do a push email out to our customers with the newsletter, since we're not mailing it anymore.
I gotta make sure you're on that we have your email. I don't know that we do.
Like as a customer, you mean?
Yeah.
I think you do. I mean, I get emails.
Okay, well then that would answer that question.
Yeah.
Because there are customers with emails and there's customers that don't.
Right. And
I mean, even a few years back, we had one of the newsletters saying, update your phone number.
Yeah.
We recently had a lady that was disappointed in us because of she didn't get notification of the main break. Because we'll do we call it a reverse 911, but if we don't have your phone number in the billing system, there's kind of nothing we can do.
Right.
So, yeah, I'll check on the push notification and see if it was done that way.
Okay.
So, public information, video and YouTube. So, we have our own YouTube page. All the board meetings are on it, but we also put their content on there. And when I arrived 10 years ago, one of the big things that I was asked to do was, to get away from the threefold brochure that we would print and hand out, and would get out of date, and instead move to video. And so Alicia has really taken on that role. She's real talented videographer, and we've got on our YouTube channel, there's the video with Ed where we submitted him for CalPERS. He didn't win that, but I think he won AWWA or Aqua instead. So we kind of, sometimes we'll do an award and we'll repurpose, and maybe if this place didn't give it an award, that place will, so. It's sort of a big deal. We have, the board meetings also get uploaded to San Marcos TV, so there's, have contract staff, there's staff over at the city of San Marcos that make sure their board meetings are posted and YouTube to TV, and he does the same service for us, so.
Yeah, and I want to say, Director Kirschbaum, you might have had a conversation with the general manager about adding chapter breaks, or is that?
Oh, it's for the board
We are looking
meetings?
at doing that,
Okay,
yeah, and that's an outside service that we use, it's pretty inexpensive,
okay,
so we're looking at doing that.
great.
Yeah, you did a great job on that last one, that history of Vallecitos or something like that, where you had the gentleman. I think it was-
Jack Kubota,
Yeah,
Russell's dad, yeah, Alicia did that.
yeah, she did.
And she went and got all kinds of, old slides and images from both Carlsbad Library and Cal State San Marcos. So, she had a lot of fun with it, and she did tell me she appreciated the chance to do it, because she enjoyed it on a deeper level, that, it was really, as a videographer, I don't know if I can explain it as well, but she's got to tell a story. And then she's also got it's like making a layer cake, there's the video itself, there's the music, there's the voiceover, there's the text, all those things kind of get layered on the video.
So why did you do that? Did somebody approach her?
So that one came out previously. She had done a video on Russell Kubota, who is our staff that works here. And Russell is a landscape maintenance staff, and he goes out and keeps like the easements clean. And so, we do this, hey, this is the stuff that Vallecitos does.
Mhm.
And she was talking to Russell, and, he mentioned his dad, and I'm not sure if you remember, but when we did the Jeep event down there, Mr. Kubota came because he knew Betty Ferguson really well, and he had like funny stories to tell. And so he was kind of part of Vallecitos, even though he didn't really work for us. He was kind of an oversight person for us. So
And we do these, I think, day in the life type videos.
yeah, day in
We
the
use
life
them
or in the
for-
community, and
We can
so
use them for recruitment, we can use them for internal consumption to help bring up younger staff who are, as retired staff move out. There's a lot of purposes for that.
Yeah.
We'll sometimes bring Alicia in for special
Yeah,
projects,
that was really
engineering
good.
projects to tell a story, kind of what we're doing in the community, so we've used her in that capacity too.
well, and sort of in this equation of outreach, we work with Water News Network a lot. In fact, they kind of love us. Water News Network is like San Diego County Water Authority's kind of news arm to, produce articles and content. And it's gotten to the point where, people don't get their information necessarily from the news station anymore. So an entity like the Water Authority kind of does their own news. And so with Alicia being able to create video and put it within the Water News Network article, it really provides juice for them. And Lisa went to JPIC, Joint Public Information and Communications committee meeting the other day with the Water Authority staff, and they were explaining that, the more information you provide, like in a news network, the better your Google search data is and so forth. So, the fact that we do that gets us better results back to the things we want to show.
Don't you have some awards for the video work? that we've
Yeah,
done?
so I'm getting
Oh,
there.
sorry.
So awards.
I think that was a
So-
good segue.
Yeah, and that's why that slide's next is it's really neat to win awards. And a lot of times there's a submittal process and a lot of paperwork, filling out paperwork and saying what you did, what you accomplished. Aha, but if you send a video with it, you know, there's somebody there that has to evaluate the award. And, you know, they look at the paperwork, yeah, okay, this guy's a really nice guy, that Ed guy is really swell. Then you throw a video on top of it, and they're like, oh yeah, this is really good. And this is my personal bias, but I think putting in a video along with the award submittal is like, bam, you know, we told the story quickly in a much cleaner format. Sometimes I think the recipient or the award committees are like, well, you know, I saw that video, they win, right? You know, it makes it that much easier. So I brought some things, CWE award for our Imagine a Day Without Water as a film festival award. We've done Imagine a Day Without Water for years. This one is really good. This is again video. This one's from AWWA. We are the 2020 Public Communications. This one's important to all of us. This is District of Distinction, which goes with Transparency Certificate of Excellence, which we got, which is basically our efforts to be a high functioning special district. And there's burdens that you all have to do as well. And the submittal process is like a huge document. It's like 560 pages. You know, it's a big challenge. But you know, this is a nice award that we've got. What's this one? CWA and community engagement, best use of social media in 21. So, and I think, and this one's probably the one I'm most proud of right here. This is EPA. This is WaterSense. This is the nation. This is not just, you know, the San Diego chapter or whatever. That's the EPA. That's the federal government right there. We were partner of the year. And that was, Alicia was making videos as part of the WaterSense calendar. And one of the things she also did was, the videos are set up with, you know, we've got our intro and we've got our exit for the video. That's, you know, explains Vallecitos, but you know, you can pull that off, put your own header and footer on it, and then have your own video. And so that's what we offered to EPA. Like, here's our video. You know, people can use it, give it to them, let them have it. And so that's why I think we got partner of the year, because we were also helping other people out with video that maybe had smaller staff or whatever.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so and I believe we will be at the board meeting tomorrow, picking up another award. And we don't just do them for our department. We'll be working with Ryan and engineering. There's an award that looks like we might be able to get for removing the chlorine. You know, and that's kind of a big thing, getting the chlorine out of Meadowlark. So the video adds a punch to any sort of award submittal. Contests. So landscape contests and poster contests. So kind of the upper one, the landscape contest, is for our customers that have replaced out their landscape, kind of an effort to give them a little prize, but also make their neighbor think about it. You know, and put out the sign in the yard, and the neighbors will ask them about it. How did you do that? And then the calendar contest is always really fun. Having children talk about water, bringing them in, giving them some awards, and then turning the artwork with the other North County water agencies into a calendar. So the calendar is a contest. I'm going to kick that off next Monday. So that'll be cool. So this is more community outreach, and there's just so many things I was like, oh, I can't even put up all the pictures. But you know, we do the Water Academy. We have a speakers bureau where I will go out and talk to community groups, or if a board member wants to come along and they're looking for that, board member can come and be part of it with you know, some of the local communities that are looking for a speaker. Booths and street fairs, the spring festival, fall festival. We got a whole bunch of events already queued up for the springtime. It's a little slow over the winter because of the bad weather and so forth, and the holidays, but you know, autumn, October is crazy. And then as we get into April, May, and June, it gets crazy again. We have like partner events, I would call those, like with the blood bank, I have the blood mobile come out here. And we're a really good location, it's really kind of easy. Just kind of right off the 78, they bring their blood mobile here, they'll park it here and try and get staff and then whoever else is in the community to come and donate. Some other things are a lot of times with the partners is more like the city of San Marcos, where we do things in conjunction with them, with their staff at like Trails Day and runs and wildfire events and things like that. We have landscape workshops. Lisa went out just yesterday and was talking to Palomar Estates, I think West, to talk to them about landscaping and succulents and things like that. Got school education programs with some of the things we do is have the San Diego County Office of Education's Green Machine come out to the schools, make presentations, but we also have a program with Poseidon Education where they go out and do the training for teachers at the 5th grade. And you've seen those students, I think, come and make their presentation where they study their whole school and make an analysis of how the school could save water.
Is it like a 5th graders that do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I met a couple people out when I was canvassing that their kids had participated in that program.
Very cool.
And they loved it. Yeah, they had a lot of really good things to say
Very
about it.
cool.
And it was a great experience for the kids because the kids have to actually like present to the
Yes.
board, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good.
yeah,
That's fun.
that's really cool.
Legislative review. So I do some of this stuff. And I'm gonna say it right here, I'm not very good at it. And I really don't like it. But Glenn gave it to me and sometimes you touched it last and it's yours. So, but a lot of times what I'm doing is kind of following the county water authority's lead on things or Aqua's lead. And a lot of times what they really want is, hey, do we support this letter? And a lot of people work on letter to explain, hey, what you're proposing for this legislation is causing water districts a problem. And so I'll usually, look at the letters, see what the water authorities take on it, Aqua's take on it, and go send James a note and be like, hey, I think we should support this specific letter to go to the governor. I don't know if you can see it, but that's a letter to Gavin Newsom. Our logo's in the bottom right corner. We're just all on board with the letter so that
Prominently.
yeah. So CASA, right? CMUA, but just the water agencies themselves. So yeah, I do a little bit of that.
Do we discuss those types of letters in the P3 committee? Like-
Sometimes, but a
Okay.
lot of times they're really rush. Like,
Oh, okay.
it's if it would work out, I would bring it. But usually it's, hey, we need your signature on this thing. And it needs to be ready to go by close of business on Tuesday. And I'm rushing to go. James, is it okay? I think this is good. I think we should support this. Water Authority supports it. Aqua supports it. Are we on board with putting our logo on it? And look at it. Yeah, okay. Thumbs up.
Something like that, I feel like I'd kind of just like to see it after, if we do support some type of upcoming legislation.
We do a press release with sometimes?
Not
or-
typically,
Okay.
that was about the extent of it.
Okay. And maybe just a quick email to the.
Yeah,
Right.
P3
Yeah.
chair.
will do. That's easy. So workforce development, so interns. So Ben Crane, Logan, Evan Fox, Jacob Sheba from Palomar, and then Flavia. Flavia just got hired by City of San Diego Metropolitan Wastewater Department. So super happy that she got hired.
Yeah.
So
I
good
was
deal.
really happy with her participating in the program.
Yeah. So Evan got hired by San Alejo's Joint Powers Authority. So some of the interns come through, got hired. So that's fun for me.
When they go through Jacob Sheba's program, do they leave with a certificate?
So it sort of depends. They can get their associate's degree, but they the intern we have right now, Lindsay, who's female, she has her D2 at this point.
Because
So
of that program?
yeah. So through the training, and she took the took your test.
Test,
So-
certification.
Yeah. So, so that's one of the things that we do. It's,
Those are non-paid interns?
yeah, they're non-paid.
How many hours? It's like,
They have to get in like 140 hours or something like that. So, you know, it's kind of a, you know, a lot of time commitment, but we send them to kind of each department, spend time, and sort of what Jacob wanted, and I worked with him to make it happen was, give them a chance to see the depth and breadth of what we do, but maybe help them go, oh, I didn't like that. I don't want to do that, but I like that. So, you know, maybe I focus this direction. And that's sort of what we're trying to do, is give them kind of a, you know, realistic job preview, you know, what's entailed with that job. So,
So who's in charge of the interns when they come in? Is that you?
Yeah, that's
You're in
me.
char- Okay,
Yeah.
so you have to figure out where they're gonna go
yeah,
and.
but honestly, Ed and now Eric, they help me out with O&M, and they basically will work
Take
that
that
out.
on, yeah.
The other departments, yeah, I gotta negotiate it and work it out.
Negotiate is a
I
good
know, I'm
term.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sends out the email, so can you take the intern this day
Yeah.
at this time?
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah, no, it's always-
supervisor's like,
It's always hard to have interns, you know, because you,
distraction.
Well, we
It's
do
hard-
try
it's hard
to
to find
teach,
tasks, I
it's,
guess.
it's not like we can actually have them, hey, get into the program and do this work, or hey,
Right.
get into the ditch and grab a shovel. There's certain
Shadowing, right?
limitations where we can't
Yeah,
use them, so. But we try to educate.
truly. So, anyway, that's our internship program with Palomar, but it eats some of your day, you know, and like, just, you know, having to text them, and, you know, the other day, I was like, Lindsay, I was like, the 78 is closed, she's coming from Palomar, like 78 is closed, you need to plan accordingly to get here, because you don't want to be late, because, you know, everybody's gonna, you know, look at you. So she got here in time, but she was like, you know, I got here with about 2 minutes, so thanks for the text. So there's a certain amount of, you know, just,
hand holding and.
yeah, just handling that
Training,
stuff.
yeah, that's good. I don't know if you don't.
Career fair, so there's your favorite water conservation
Face
guy.
it.
At Cal State San Marcos.
I think I took
No
that
comment.
picture.
Yeah, I think you did, yeah.
Because we were together.
Yeah, and so this is really nice. Ronnie, when she was here, just wasn't real big into these kind of things, but Denise certainly is. So that's been helpful in that, you know, it is kind of recruiting and HR kind of thing. And, you know, I touched it last, so, you know, I was doing it, but I appreciate the support from HR now.
But we're working on, this is one of the things that we're gonna be, you know, going to more, working on more, is going out into the community this year.
And you know what? Let's go open that door for a second, because I do want to show you.
Okay.
Because it's right there. It's right outside that door out on the new banners. Yeah.
But Chris had these made for us when we go to job fairs, or if he does an event, they just pump this up.
Yeah. So.
Where they can pull up our website, for jobs we have, or it just the gov jobs where they can apply them.
Yeah. So in fact, I sent that to the intern. Oh, yeah. And then I love does the I would say, you know, other folks. I'll go out first.
Chris said, hey, where's the wagon? I need all the goodies.
Give me some loot, right?
Exactly.
Always promoting the district.
Right, so what's the purpose of promoting the district at a, what is it?
So like at the construction network event that's happening this week, we're talking to vendors to let them know we've got projects coming out. So, hey,
Look for our
engineers,
stuff.
contractors, come bid our work.
Bid, yeah,
Yeah.
bid on our
Just
stuff.
trying to drive up that competition, right?
Contractors that bid. Sometimes you put out a job and speak to them, well, we got 2 proposals.
Yeah, and I think a lot of folks, they like to get pre-positioned. They know ahead of time of the project, oh, this project's gonna be coming, oh, okay, well, we can start looking at, do we have crews available? Can we go run out to that site and take a look at it? And, so it's getting that information out ahead of time to try to drive that business back toward us.
So, and then we've got scholarships, so that's Lisa's social media post, so kind of in putting together your PowerPoint, I'm using our own social media to clip the image that I'm putting in the PowerPoint. So we have scholarships, the press release went out yesterday, and I contacted all of the high schools and the colleges, made sure they knew about it. But I am gonna actually go out and try and speak and do a pop-up event to try and get more participation. We have 6 scholarships. And the reason there was 6 was the number that we came up with is the 4 high schools, San Marcos, Mission Hills, Twin Oaks, which is kind of, alternative high school, High Tech High, Cal State San Marcos, and Palomar. That's the reason there's 6 in there. The high school students are, and so you're gonna be the ones that evaluate these submittals that'll come in like 2 months. And the high school students, whether or not they've chosen a career in water, they may not have done that at this point. So
It's $2,000.
yeah, it's $2,000. And what I'm trying to point out though is that, students can work in HR and students can work as executive assistant or water conservation person or finance, accounting, customer service. Not every person that works in water is actually D2 certified. So just have that on your radar screen that.
But they may wanna have, direction be IT, or they may wanna go like computer science or something, and parlaying that into the water district is where the discussion would come up. And the way we've been approaching it is these are jobs of the water district. You can come and work in HR, you can come and work in public information, you can come and work in IT at a water district. And a lot of times people don't look at water districts as all these other positions.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what Chris is just trying to have you guys remember, is that the person who's applying for the scholarship may not be going directly into water per se, but they can work in a water agency doing other skills.
Job functions, yeah,
Job
yeah.
functions.
So that just went out, and we will be at Cal State San Marcos and want to get some applications from students at Cal State San Marcos, but they're not specifically a water program like at Palomar. And then we've never gotten an application from Twin Oaks High, which is kind of alternative education. And I would really, I'm trying to get dialed in to go out there and do a talk. There's students there that could get a career in water.
In trade, absolutely.
Yeah, and a trade and get a scholarship. And I've never even got one, and I've tried, but I think I need to actually show up and try and connect with students one-on-one.
Never got an application from them?
Never. And I've sent it to their counselors and so forth, but, you know, I kind of have the feeling the counselor gets it, sticks it on
Yeah,
board.
you have to go show
Yeah,
up.
so,
Another thought, just as, I mean, it's really for this one, but I know there's a big homeschooling contingency.
Mhm.
So I know there's an organization that oversees,
The
so that might be
homeschooling.
another
Mhm.
opportunity, because they're really connected.
Yeah.
Doesn't Twin Oaks have a homeschool component to it?
I don't really know,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Is that the continuation school? They may have where you can work some days from home remotely.
That's what I thought. I mean, I could be wrong though,
yeah.
but no, that's a good point about the,
But actually homeschooling, yeah, that would be
I know
great.
most are K through like 8. I don't know if there's a big
High
12
school.
high school, but I know,
There
I
is
just
high
know I have a
school.
lot of friends that are parents and they do homeschooling for the kids
Yeah,
throughout.
it's very
And there's,
popular.
I don't know, the organization, there's a governing board
Yeah,
that monitors
they have to
that.
check in with them, and they have to
And that-
submit work to them.
And they would, I think they would, because then they talk.
They do.
They're a
We
good-
can,
they're a good
we can
networking
figure
group.
that out.
We can,
I
And,
can probably
great
contact
thing.
one of my friends who's a parent who's involved as well.
one of the parameters is that they live or go to school in the service area. So it would need to be, you know, within our boundaries.
Yeah, but if they're
But,
living in our
yeah.
boundaries and they're homeschooling,
Right.
absolutely, and a lot
Yeah.
of times it's a collaboration where they go to each other's houses to do, like, they'll go, you know, someone will teach English and then maybe someone will teach math, or
Sure.
they do a lot of collaboration where they work with each other.
Sure.
They go to little field trips, yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
and maybe we want to add a 7th so that we can put homeschools or something.
maybe you do like Twin Oaks / homeschool, like.
Sure.
Charter, because there's
more,
also
yeah.
charter schools, so, but you could do that, actually, you could actually work through the school district to find out who the homeschool.
Hmm.
We can work together. on that.
Okay.
Good idea, yeah, we need to think about that.
Agricultural water. So I also manage agricultural water. And again, probably because I touched it last or whatever. I'm not really sure why. But when I first day I was here, the assistant general manager was like, okay, you've got agricultural water. I was like, okay. So we have over about 120 agricultural customers. A lot of it is avocado. There is a yeah, that's Randy Walton's farm, right? He was a council member over at City of San Marcos. But I had to take the people, there's a guy standing next to me and a lady on the other side of me. And the San Diego County Water Authority, who provides the incentive rate to get the ag water, does a rotation throughout the water districts to go out and inspect and make sure that you've got customers that are really ag customers. So I've been to these specific locations was the most recent time. Randy Walton's farm, Star Pine Nursery, if you know where that is, like off of Rancho or off of South Santa Fe. And then Hato Kanoko is the mushroom farm. It's kind of tucked back in the Twin Oaks Valley up there. And
Have you been in it?
yes, and twice. And it's really cool and really interesting.
That's what I understand. I've never been there, but I've heard interesting things about it.
Yeah,
Do they use a lot of water?
not so much. It's more like misting.
That's what I was
They keep it damp, but it's not like, you know, like an avocado where you've
So
got a
not
tree.
Huge
Yeah.
water.
You know, they use a lot of water, but you know, all the water goes into the product itself versus the avocado. It's got this whole tree that the whole tree needs water, and then there's a little bit that goes to the fruit, whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, that place is really interesting.
Yeah.
And just all the layers that, you know, you got to wear the PPE like they're wearing while you're in there, and they have different types, and you have to kind of sterilize as you go from
So that's what's growing out of those bottles or
room
something?
to room.
Mushrooms?
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
Out of those bottles.
yeah. The little they're like the trumpet shaped ones or whatever.
So there's a ton of bottles and there's mushrooms growing out of them.
Yes. And
Oh, so they don't grow them in the dirt?
no,
I know.
no, it is a factory.
I didn't even see
It is a
Yes, that
factory,
is really-
and it is not
Oh.
outside. It's inside. It's in dark conditions and stuff like that.
She's holding it, right?
Yeah, yeah. So and they just
Wow.
chop off that top part right there. And then the bottom part, they will kind of throw off into a,
Compost. Right?
yeah, they'll compost it, but they have somebody else take it away for composting purposes. So, yeah, and if you go to like Fraser Farms,
I'm there
or
every week.
yeah, I see Jason in there. Fraser Farms or what's the
Fraser
other?
Farms is.
So
It's over in Vista. Sprouts. What's the other one?
Trader Joe's?
No, it's
Henry's.
what's the one right over here in Grand Mall?
Sprouts.
That's
Is it Sprouts?
Yeah, that's a Sprouts.
Okay, Sprouts. They'll usually have them and they're packaged in like a little plastic container. Like,
Jimbo's or something.
I add them to my my ramen.
do you? Hot Tokanoko?
Yeah.
Do you? Very cool.
It's like Whole Foods.
Yeah, Whole Foods is the other one.
That's right.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with
Jimbo's
Whole
or
Foods.
something.
Yeah, yeah, you know, and they're delicious, and they have the one that it almost looks like feathers. It's weird. It's kind of, you know, and then they have the little button ones that are white, and then the little button ones that are brown. They got like 4 types, but the mushrooms will fight each other, so you have to sterilize as you go from the group. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, so the you know, there's we have Bonsall Farms, which is if you're going up Vista Way up towards the 76 from the 78, if you know what I'm talking about. There's that strawberry field that's kind of over there, and there's a little storefront, and they'll sell all kinds of fruit, and raspberries and strawberries and stuff. He's one of our customers. I took CWA to them on the previous inspection, you know, years ago. So there's a whole process that customers have to comply with to get the ag water, and I administer that. I think that's it.
You say you get the ag water, it's not a different blend, it's just
No.
the cost.
Yes, and yeah, it's not like it's a different pipe or anything like that. The water authority just sells it to us at the discounted rate. They don't put like the M&I charges on it, so yeah, that's how they just.
We don't have recycled water, like Twin Oaks Valley Golf Course, Lake San Marcos. City of San Marcos doesn't use recycled water.
No.
It's kind of a gravity issue, you know. Metal Arc's kind of at the topographic low end of the district, so to get it up to Twin Oaks, you'd have to pump it, right? You'd have to have tanks and everything. So it's just we looked at sort of that cost
Twin Oaks
benefit.
uses it like a well or something.
They do the golf course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, they have well water, but every once in a while they need our stuff. And the water quality is not particularly good, but Twin Oaks Valley has better water quality than the other side of the valley, where the poultry farm used to be, where Cal State San Marcos is. So,
All that contamination from
yes,
pesticides over the years.
and then Hollandia had, you know,
Yeah, we don't have a great groundwater basin.
so there's not good groundwater to get locally, so.
And this was just an overview, right?
Yes, but if there's a drill down, you know, I can come back and make a, you know, a detailed presentation on a specific topic.
But you're always bringing back scholarships and like you said.
Yeah,
things are always
scholarships
up
come back, and I'll give you the information on the scholarships, and I'll usually give you kind of a cheat sheet that says, did they mark these boxes? Did they live in the service area?
Mhm.
Do they go to school go to school in the service area? Did they complete all 4 documents? They need an application, financial needs assessment, an essay, and then a letter of recommendation. So they're supposed to do all of those things.
And I'll reiterate, 2.75 employees with all of that.
Right.
So
So
it does a great job as the general manager.
the other piece too is that I gave our intern from Palomar a scholarship package. Lindsay Patel.
Nice. It'll plug.
Yes. Yes.
Leading the witness, as I like to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
All right, if there's nothing else, then we are adjourned.
All right.